If you're ready for freedom from the grind, then passive income from real estate investing is the best way to get you there. If you don't know where to start or what to do next, then the Rent Roll Radio Show is the best place to get you there. Join us while we discuss the best practices, strategies, and mindset you'll need and give you actionable content to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Hey, Brent Roll Radio listeners, as always, I'm your host, Sterling Chapman. Today, we're joined with Brent Bowers with the Land Sharks. I'm pretty excited to have Brent on because I want to deep dive into land because it's a subject matter that I haven't spent a lot of time on. But in our current environment, we're always looking for new and different strategies. So, Brent, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Sterling. Yeah, man, I've enjoyed the conversation so far, even before we hit the record. So yeah, man, I'm happy to share and provide as much value as possible.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a bad habit of getting into the good stuff before I hit record. So hopefully we can recreate it on the air. So just tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself, your company, where you came from, what you were doing before, how you got into real estate, what you're doing these days.
Yeah, my name's Brent Bowers, and I do land deals. I buy and sell vacant raw land. That's my main business. I was in the military for 8.5 years. That's what allowed me to get out of the military. That was a good time while it lasted. I just wanted to be home more with the family, and I was gone all the time. So I found a guy. I was listening to podcasts just like this one, and I heard about a guy flipping vacant raw land back in 2016. And I was like, man, I've never heard anybody else talking about that. Everyone's chasing after the dirty old stinky cat pee houses, and it's like a feeding frenzy when you show up to this fixer upper and you can't even get in, and these guys are paying more than what they're worth. And I was going to the foreclosure auctions, and I'm like, how are they paying that much? And when I heard that guy talking about land, I immediately just started taking action. I started mailing postcards to vacant raw landowners, and my phone started ringing, and I just did one deal at a time.
What kind of vacant raw land are you buying? Where are you buying it? Why are you buying it? Who are you selling it to?
I didn't know any of those answers back then. I just heard that guy on a podcast, and I was like, if he's having half the success that he's saying he's having, I can quit my job. So I literally called the county treasurer's office in El Paso County, Colorado. This is Colorado Springs. I was stationed at Fort Carson at the time. I'm not really doing a lot of land deals out there anymore. I've changed. I'm going after, different areas of where there's high demand. I'm not saying there's not high demand out there. They're blowing up out there. They're building houses left and right. Different parcels of land though. But I went after the vacant residential land that was behind on taxes.
So you're buying the lots. You're not buying a big chunk of 30 acres. You're buying like a quarter acre lot in a neighborhood that just hasn't been built on yet.
I had no money. There was no way I could have bought 30 acres. Now there's ways to buy it without money. Now I know the ways. But back then I had no clue how to do that. So I was buying land directly from these owners that were behind on taxes. Sometimes it was $500. Sometimes it was $285. But what I would do, I would flip this land for like $5,000. Or I would sell it on seller financing. I would find a buyer on Craigslist that would pay me $400 a month and $500 down. And that got my steam rolling going. I was able to pay off the credit cards, get some money in my savings account finally. And then I started, getting these parcels of land under contract. And I would assign that contract, or I would basically sell my contract to the house flipping guys, builders, developers, because what I found, a lot of house flipping guys, they get sick and tired of doing these renovations and opening up a big old can of worms or a hornet's nest. Literally, I see your eyes rolling. I guess I'm talking to you. And I didn't realize they wanted to buy this vacant raw land. And it's so easy to find these house buyers because they're advertising everywhere. There's signs on the side of the road. We buy houses. They're doing Craigslist ads. They're paying Google pay-per-click ads. They're at the top of Google. So I just started assigning my contracts to these guys. And then I did like a $74,000 assignment fee. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. So I started getting more consistent. I made a bunch of mistakes, and I didn't make the mistakes. Well, let me tell you why I made the mistakes. I made the mistakes when I started making money. because I was working my Army job. I was working like 13, 14 hours a day for the military. So I was taking shortcuts with my land business because I thought any parcel of land I bought, I would be like King Midas, the Midas touch,
Sure,
and
sure.
turn it to gold. Well, I started
Wait,
making stupid mistakes.
Anybody who lived through 2020 through 2022 thought they were Midas.
Yeah, exactly. I had just went, and it's funny, like I went in 2019. You want to talk about bad timing? So the first time I got in real estate was 2007. Bad timing, right? It's the second time was 2013. Thank God, better timing. So I had to take a little break. You know, like you get punched in the stomach, you got to take a little break from that. You know,
Do you mind sharing about getting punched in the stomach?
Yeah, 2007, I got my real estate license. I bought a house the next week. As soon as I joined the brokerage, I rented that property out. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to leave my lawn business because I had a lawn business that was doing very well. And I'm going to go sell real estate full time. Well, about 6 months later, I had no more money and I had to ask my in-laws if I could move in with them. And I had to reset. 2009, I went into the military to go back to school. And then I took a little break, you know, I never lost that house. I sold it in 2019 like a dummy.
Because you could have sold it for twice as much 2 years later.
Yeah, I could have. I never sell your property. Never sell your rentals. By the way, learn from me. And then 2019, I had a pile of cash from doing these land deals, and went and bought a lake house in Florida. Nice. 2019, right? You're following me. Right before I knew what COVID-19 was, and I put it on Airbnb. We literally booked out for like 3 months straight. I thought,
and then they shut it down.
I thought I was so smart. We flew back to Colorado in March and started hearing about this thing. My land business stood still for 2 months. Everyone canceled on Airbnb, and the house is sitting vacant. And I'm just like, I just blew through all of our cash. I'm not making any money right now. Well, we thought we weren't making money. All the land buyers kept paying. Because we seller finance this land. Yeah. We seller finance it on payments. That's where our passive income. So thank God we were getting the payments still. Kind of like you talked about your rental saved your butt during the house flipping. So it's been an evolution. You know, it's been a learning experience. I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change any of it. You know, well, actually I would. I wouldn't have sold a few of those banging rentals. I could have like one of them I bought for 190. And I sold it and I made a great profit, like $100,000 net profit. But I just see where it sold for like $699 the other day. And I'm like, oh.
So funny topic, you know, like we were chit-chatting before we hit record. And so I've had houses that are just not selling because, you know, the interest rates shot up so quick on us and just kind of halted the market. So we've had to reposition and sell off some of our rentals to cover some of those shortfalls. And I hate it. I'm like you, man. I wanted to own those things forever. And for me, I was telling somebody that luckily I'm selling some packages to some friends of mine, so that like when I see them sell it in 10 years for twice as much, it won't hurt as much because I love them. I want them to do good.
They're going to rub it in. It's
well, at least it's, you know, going to a friend and not, you know, a competitor or something. So, yeah. But no. I mean, so what now, how long have you been doing the land deals now?
2016. So yeah, a little while now.
So you've honed it in. What is your specific strategy now?
Oh, you want all my secrets. All right, here we go. Yeah. Let's go. So my specific strategy now, it's gotten a lot better. Like because I didn't want to leave one job and go into another job. Yeah. Because there's a thing called Parsons Law, and it creeps in. The task fills the time that you have. And I scaled it. I got up to like 15 people. I bought the office and all these things. And I was just doing deals to pay salaries. And I was like, this is not the way you run a business. So I had to scale back down because scaling is dangerous. But the strategy now is I go in and there's so much, like, we don't have enough time to talk about why the strategy came now, but I was working way too hard to sell this land. Now we go in and we figure out where land is in demand. Like, where's the land selling? How much is it selling for? Who are the land sales specialists? Real estate agents, because those are the people that are going to sell it for us now. I used to have 3 people full-time working to sell this land constantly, and I was paying all the subscriptions to all the land websites, so paying a couple $1,000s a month. Now I just find the best land specialist realtors that go and look at the land before I buy it. Sometimes they have a buyer ahead of time. I don't even have to buy it. And I just assign my contract. But they're the ones selling it for me. It all starts with figuring out where the demand's at. And once you do that, once you price those areas, we use a program. And I can give anybody the link to that program, the landsharks.com/CRM. That's the program that we use to send these letters to what we call the don't wanters, the people that no longer want the land.
Right.
And we get it at massive discounts. That's how this works. That's how we're making profit. A lot of people look at land and they're like, there's no way to cash flow in land, right?
Right.
Well, I love that they think that way, because there's virtually no competition in this business, because I was the same person. I never bought land. And my first house I bought in 2007. I started buying more rentals in 2013. I never even looked at land until I heard that guy on the podcast in 2016. So I get the land at a massive discount and I sell it for a little bit more, and preferably on payments.
Okay. So who are you selling it to on payments?
Who am I selling it to? Man, anybody and everybody. My first several parcels that weren't buildable, like they were just weird parcels of land. Like I sold to truck drivers. One I sold to a concrete company. They just wanted a place to park their trucks. Another non-buildable parcel of land that when I bought for $285, the first parcel, I flipped it to a realtor for $5,000 and she sold it for $15,000 like a year later. So
Nice.
Speculators, now I'm doing more like infill buildable lots, like the stuff that's like off of, roads that has electric and water and maybe sewer lines ran to it. Those are amazing. I sell those to people that want to build on them, builders, house flippers. And when I offer that seller financing, I offer it at 30 years. I know they're not going to pay me for 30 years though, but the first like 7 years of that mortgage, and the bank set this up. I didn't do this. That's the reason why the banks are the biggest, prettiest buildings in every city and every state, is because they know about money. So I'm just following their lead. So I give them a 30-year mortgage. They pay me for 3 to 5 years, and all those payments are pretty much all interest.
Right.
And then I get my profit on top of that.
Nice. Nice. So how are you targeting and finding out where the land is on demand?
Yeah, you can check that. There's a lot of free resources. Like, you don't have to be a real estate agent to do this. I'm not a real estate agent anymore. Like that continuing education, that was like for the birds. I let that license go so quick, and it's expensive as heck to have a license. But I just use the free resources like Zillow and Redfin.
Yeah.
I go to Sold, I look at land only, and I look at what's been going on in like the last 6 months.
Awesome. So what city and states are you targeting? Or are you national, or do you say
Yeah, we're in Alabama and Florida and Utah. These are some of the states I buy in. But I don't recommend, when people are just starting out, go in your own backyard. There's a lot happening within a few hour radius of your own backyard. Why do I say that? Because like your first couple land deals, you might want to go look at, or you might want to go meet the buyer or meet the seller. And you don't want to have to jump on a plane. You want to leave on a Saturday morning, get home by noon, and do the deal type thing. So I started out in my own backyard.
Awesome. And so you start in your own backyard, but now you go into other areas. So can you explain why those specific areas that you're going into?
Yeah, the sheer demand. I want to see the parcels of land selling, and I figure out my area and then I expand to another one. So it's really easy to expand in these areas. Like, I'm not leaving my house. Like, I was just talking to a seller in Arizona. He's like, it's just terribly hot out here. And I was like, yeah, man, it's great. It's nice and cool in my office. The land sales specialist realtor is the one that goes out and looks.
Yeah. So I guess, where I was kind of leading that is, what drives the demand. So when we're looking, like I don't personally buy apartment complexes in my backyard because there's just not a lot of demand drivers, right? Like, to your point, where's the demand? And demand drivers for residential renters are population trends, job growth, job diversification, supply and demand, crime, and poverty, right? And so we, you know, when we look at all of those, and I look in my backyard, I'm like last on the list across the board. So that's why I don't buy, you know, $10 million apartment complexes in South Louisiana, but I'll be happy to do it in Houston, Texas, or Atlanta, Georgia, or Charlotte, North Carolina, or somewhere like that. So those are the demand drivers for the buildings. And I was just curious if are they similar, or do you have different demand drivers for the land?
Absolutely, they're similar. Am I tracking those? Heck no. It's because it's super easy to figure out where land is selling by looking on Zillow and Redfin. I have no clue what the crime is, what the population is, what the median job income, if they're, you know, now granted, you can get little tips and it would be insider trading if you're in the stock market, but like where's Tesla going next? Or where's Evian going? Where's Facebook buying their next plot of land? You figure stuff like that out. Now you're getting on the path of growth. Like you're now getting on the front end of that wave, but I'm already just seeing where the wave just hit. Like you mentioned Texas, I think just now.
Yep.
You know, Austin, Texas, Tesla went out there. Like you can see, like it looks like little heat maps of where land is trading, basically selling. So I keep it that simple. I'm just a knuckle dragger that was in the military. There's a reason why I do land. You know, I'm not apartment complexes and doing the evaluations and the pro formas and the projections on those. That like blows my mind. But I can look at a piece of land and see, this is a half-acre parcel that sold for 50,000. This is a half-acre parcel that sold for 50,000. This is a half-acre parcel that sold for 50,000. Okay, I need to be about $20,000 for this price, and I know I'll make money because I just got a beautiful piece of land, this asset under contract that's worth 50,000 for 20,000.
Nice. How have you seen your business affected by the current interest rate environment? So like for house flippers, stop me in my tracks trying to sell a bunch of houses when interest rates spiked, right? For apartment complex owners, the ones that we had bridge variable debt, or it's not a great time to have high interest rates, but for you and your business, now I know, it doesn't sound like you deal a whole lot with interest rates. If you're probably usually either buying the land cash or not buying it at all and just assigning the contract. But I'm just curious if like the people, your end buyers, are being slowed down by the interest rate and how that's affecting your business, and if you're having to make any pivots to adjust to that.
Yeah, it's helping us. It's helping us, I believe, because they're taking my financing over the banks. And a lot of times banks won't finance land. So we're not really dealing with the banks. And let's talk about the sell side for my sellers. And most of the time, the sellers know that. If you took away all the financing today for everything in this world, the price of everything would go down. Like think about it. Like
sure.
Like people are paying like $70,000 for an F-150. Why? Because they can finance it for like 90 something months. Like a friend of mine just bought an F-150, and I was like, how much did that cost you? That thing is beautiful. He goes, I don't know. It's $750 a month. Typical American. Yeah. How much does it cost each month?
Yeah. I try to explain that to my team all the time because they always get caught up on the value of the house. And I was like people don't buy houses based off of the cost of the house. People buy houses based off of the monthly payment, right? People's limitation is not like, can I afford? The question is not, can I afford $1 million house? The question is, can I afford, $5,000 a month, right? Exactly. And that's just how our entire economy works at this point.
Exactly. So yeah, for example, you buy a $605,000 house, you get a 2% interest rate, your payment's $3,000 a month. Well, now those same people can only afford about a $399,000 house if they want to pay $3,000 a month. And I'm just pulling those numbers out of thin air.
Sure.
You're dead on. So with the land, when these sellers are selling it, banks aren't financing on it. They have to either sell it to me at a cash discount, a good price, or they need to be the bank themselves and offer me financing. And a lot of times I pay them principal only payments, AKA 0% interest. I'll give you an example. I'm buying a piece of land right now in Utah. It's worth $550,000. That's the blowout price. That's a 30-day get her done now sales price. It's in Park City, Utah. It's like a ski resort area, rich area. But I'm getting it for $335,000. Well, I've been able to negotiate with the seller to where I'm going to come in with $150,000 down as my down payment. And I'm going to pay a private lender 12% interest on that. And I can use it up to 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
The seller is going to finance the remaining amount, which is 185,000. So 335 minus 150 equals, I think, 185,000. So it's 185,000 at principal payments, 3,000 a month for 1 year. So I literally just secured financing at 0% interest, $185,000 because it's land. Like houses, that's a lot harder to do.
Right. So you had mentioned that you teach other people how to do this.
Yeah, that's my passion. I enjoy the heck out of it.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So we created the Land Sharks program. Remember, we were talking about Parsons Law. I had a lot of time in 2018. I was up to like 15,000 a month in payments, and I literally just left my Army job. I was making $4,500 a month, so I felt rich. Honestly, felt rich. And I was like, well, what else do I do now? And I was going on all of these coffee appointments. We started a meetup for real estate investors, and I was like, literally going on coffee and breakfast and lunch, and like I wasn't going on dinner appointments because I was with my family. But I'm like, man, I'm literally like, just people are picking my brain all day long. And by the way, I hate that word. Like, hey, Sterling, let me pick your brain. Basically, I just asked you like for free knowledge that you spent years to figure it out. And a friend of mine was, well, I shouldn't say a friend, Tom Kroll. He's a mentor of mine. He's now a friend. He created Wholesaling Inc. I'm a host on the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. I'm their land coach, and I do a case study every Friday with one of my Land Shark students. But he said, Brent, are people having success with what you're teaching them in land? And I was like, yeah, some of them, but really no one's taking action. He goes, like, how much are you charging them? I was like, nothing. He goes, well, there you go, dummy. You're not charging them anything. That's why they're not successful, because they don't value what you're giving them. And most of the time I'm paying for the coffee. I was like, just a sucker. So I started one-on-one coaching people. And before I knew it, I had 16 people that paid me like $1,000. And I didn't like, I was giving them away like things that were like, one guy I started with one-on-one coaching, Lance King. He's literally just moved to Maui, which terrible timing.
Right.
Him and his 6 children, like that's how much money he's making in land right now. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take this and build a course around it. So we built the exact action steps. Now it changes over the years. We have to re-record it all the time, of my entire playbook of my land business. And then we do weekly support calls. I have an assistant coach. Now I have other land sharks that have done very well, also doing the support calls. So it's just an amazing community. We're all doing land deals together. We've got lenders and buyers in the community. It's outgrown me. Like I had no clue, but that Parsons Law, I needed something to do with my time.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you found something productive. So I want to hop over to our radio round real quick. Just 3 questions to help our listeners get to know you a little bit better. The first one is, what is your favorite book?
Man, my favorite book of all time is A Land Remembered. It's a historical fictional book about 3 families. They basically were starving to death because they escaped the Civil War. They moved down to Florida. By the 3rd generation, the guy owned like all of Miami Beach. So one of my most favorite books.
What's it called again?
A Land Remembered by Patrick Smith. It's about real estate too, actually.
I'm going to check it out. What's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote, geez, there's so many of them. I don't really have a favorite quote, to be honest.
I have a new one every day. I have a log, and every time I hear one, I'm like, that's my favorite quote now. And I put it in my Evernote. And then I look up and after a year, I'm like, wow, I've got like 56 favorite quotes.
Yeah, I got my favorite quote right now came from 2 boys. I'm trying to find it on YouTube right now, but it was 2 boys. It was if you look up kid very inspirational and motivational speech ever, heartbreaking. It was 2 boys playing basketball, and they said, if you want anything in life, and I just watched the video this morning, if you want anything in life, you got to work hard for it. Do you want to be a fish or a shark? And I was like, those boys have it figured out. I'll drop the link to it as well to you in the chat.
Awesome. And then what's your favorite thing to do outside of work?
I love camping and hunting and fishing. I've got 3 kids, and my oldest, he's 7 years old. He loves all that stuff too. For his birthday last year, he wanted to go hunting, hog hunting, and camping. And I'm like, man, it's like my birthday too. I love boating. We have our lake house. So yeah, all that stuff.
Man, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old boy, so I can't wait till they're that age to start enjoying that kind of thing as well.
You're close.
Well, Brent, I really appreciate you joining us. Can you tell our listeners how to get in touch with you, how to find you, how to hire you as a coach, how to invest with you?
Yeah, the easiest thing is go to the landsharks.com. Schedule a call, fill out that application. If you really want to just bypass all that, text me, 863-801-6959. I'm on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram under Brent L. And yes, the L stands for land. Brent L. Bowers 1 as most of my social handles.
Awesome. Well, Brent, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to keeping up with you on your journey.
Thanks, Sterling. Talk to you later, man.
This episode was brought to you by Crestworth Capital. If you're a busy professional and ready to make passive income from real estate investing, then go to crestworthcapital.com, where you'll be able to download a free copy of our ebook to help you get started today. Until next week, happy investing.